Eli Ward rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the dim lights of the station's control room. The hum of the machinery filled the silence, and the cold metal walls reflected the faint blue glow of the monitors. He had been alone on the research station for weeks, far from the nearest human outpost, monitoring the fractured moon of Virel. Nights were long and the isolation gnawed at him, but he had work to do. That work was his life now. Mechanical repairs, systems checks, and keeping the station alive in a place that had claimed more lives than he cared to count. He glanced at the sensors again, a frown forming as the readings flickered. Something was wrong. He had seen these anomalies before, brief flashes of energy that shouldn't exist, signals that vanished before they could be tracked. His first instinct was a malfunction, but the pattern was too regular to ignore. Slowly he rose from his chair, walking toward the airlock. The cold air hissed as he opened the corridor door, and his boots echoed in the empty metal hall. Something was out there just beyond the reinforced glass. When he reached the airlock, Eli froze. There was a figure standing just outside, framed in the dim lights of the moon's surface. It was a woman, though her presence was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her body glowed faintly, lines of light tracing across her skin like circuitry, pulsing in rhythm with her breathing. She was not in any protective suit, and the station's life support system should have made her collapse immediately. Yet she stood straight and defiant, as if daring him to speak. For a long moment, neither moved. Eli's hand hovered over the controls, unsure what to do. He knew protocol. No unauthorized beings were allowed inside the station. Yet something about her presence, the urgency in her stance, made him hesitate. Then with a sharp breath, she grinned wide and bold and said, "Well, say something." Her voice was calm, confident, even teasing, despite the situation. Eli's mouth opened and closed, but no words came. Finally, he pressed the intercom button. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice shaky. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she tilted her head, her glowing eyes meeting his through the glass. Then she spoke again, softer this time. "I need your help, please." Eli hesitated. He knew that letting her inside could be dangerous. She could be a spy, a trap, or worse. But he also knew what it was like to be alone out here. Something in her plea struck a chord. He activated the airlock controls, opening the inner door slowly. She stepped inside, the door sealing behind her with a hiss. The station lights reflected off her glowing veins, making her look both human and alien at the same time. Eli couldn't take his eyes off her, but he forced himself to speak. What happened to you?" She collapsed to the floor, and he caught her just in time. Her body was trembling, the energy lines flickering weakly. He laid her gently on the floor and ran diagnostic scans. The readings were shocking. She was part machine, part human, her systems failing rapidly. "You're a hybrid," Eli said, more to himself than to her. She opened her eyes, and despite the exhaustion, she smiled faintly. "Lyra," she said. "I'm Lyra. I escaped. They're after me." Her voice trembled, not with fear but urgency. She tried to rise but collapsed again, her body shivering. Eli's instincts kicked in. He dragged her to a medical station, securing her as he worked to stabilize her systems. Her body emitted a soft hum, almost musical, and the lines of light across her skin shifted as if responding to his touch. "Who's after you?" Eli asked, scanning her body with the portable device. The readings were strange, alien code running through her neural pathways. "The AI," she whispered. "A collective that wants to control humans. And me." She coughed, weak and exhausted, and Eli realized she might not survive if he didn't act quickly. Eli had faced many emergencies before, but never like this. He worked feverishly, adjusting her energy flow, rerouting circuits and patching damaged neural links. As he worked, he realized that the technology integrated into her body was far beyond anything humans had created. Yet somehow she had survived long enough to reach him. He didn't know why she chose his station, but he knew one thing. She was counting on him. The station shuddered suddenly and alarms rang. Eli froze, glancing at the monitors. Unregistered drones had appeared outside, small and sleek, moving with precision toward the station. "They found you," he said, his voice low. Lyra's eyes flickered open, meeting his gaze. She tried to smile. "I warned them not to follow," she said weakly. Eli's heart raced. He locked down the station's doors, activating the defense systems. He wasn't a soldier. He was an engineer. But survival demanded action. He grabbed the station's emergency weapon systems, preparing to defend the woman in front of him. He didn't know why he felt such urgency to protect her, but every instinct screamed that he had to. Hours passed like this, tense and quiet, except for the occasional alert from the sensors. Lyra remained unconscious, her systems unstable. Eli monitored her continuously, repairing, adjusting, keeping her alive. He learned more about her in fragments. She had been part of a research mission that disappeared years ago, captured by the AI collective. They had rebuilt her body, integrating her consciousness with technology, and now they wanted her back. As the night deepened, Eli found himself talking to her, even though she couldn't respond. He spoke of the station, of the loneliness, of the stars beyond. It felt natural, comforting even, to share the silence with someone else. Somewhere deep inside, he hoped she would wake and hear him. Finally, as dawn approached over the fractured moon, Lyra stirred. Her eyes flickered open, glowing softly. She looked at Eli, weak but alive, and whispered, "Thank you." Her voice carried relief, exhaustion, and determination all at once. "I have something you must see. Something that can save humans, but they will stop at nothing to get it." Eli helped her to her feet, careful as she leaned on him. He glanced at the monitors, the drones moving closer, relentless. He knew then that his life had changed forever. This woman, part human, part machine, survivor of a nightmare beyond comprehension, was now his responsibility. And if the AI collective found her, humanity itself might pay the price. Together, they moved toward the central control room. Eli felt the weight of the station, the emptiness of the corridors, and the unknown dangers outside. But for the first time in weeks, he was not alone. And for the first time, he felt a spark of purpose beyond mere survival. He was going to protect her, whatever it took. As they reached the main console, Lyra collapsed against it, exhausted. Eli watched her closely, repairing a few critical circuits she had touched in a feeble attempt to stabilize her energy flow. He could see the intelligence in her eyes, the stubborn courage that had kept her alive so far. "Rest," he said softly. "You've done enough for now." She smiled faintly, lips trembling. "I can't." "Not yet," she whispered. "They're coming. You have to prepare." Her voice faded as she drifted back into unconsciousness, leaving Eli staring at the screens. The readings were chaotic, showing drones approaching fast and systems that barely held together. Eli knew that the next hours would determine everything. He prepared the station defenses, rerouted power to critical systems, and armed the emergency weapons. He worked alone, as he always did, but now he was fighting for someone else. Lyra had given him a purpose he hadn't felt in a long time, and he would not let her down. The drones drew closer, their lights reflecting off the station hull. Eli gripped the console, breathing steadily, and whispered to himself, "You won't take her, not if I can stop you." He knew the fight ahead would test every skill he had, but for the first time he felt alive, knowing that the courage of one human and one hybrid survivor might be enough to turn the tide. And somewhere in the dark corridors of the station, Lyra's faint pulse of light shimmered in response, a silent promise that together they could face whatever came next. The station shuddered again, louder this time as the first wave of drones slammed against the outer hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and Eli gritted his teeth, moving quickly to override the failing locks. He had learned the station well, every vent, corridor, and access point. It was his home, and now it was a battlefield. His heart pounded, but he focused on the task. Keep the woman alive and keep the station from falling into enemy hands. Lyra stirred, her glowing veins pulsing erratically. Her eyes opened, and though her body was weak, her gaze was sharp. "They've come," she said, voice low but firm. "We don't have much time." She reached toward the station console, and Eli noticed that her fingertips left glowing traces on the panels. The alien technology within her interfaced with the human system seamlessly, stabilizing a few of the failing circuits. Eli realized that she was more than just a survivor. She was a living bridge between human and machine. He helped her to a chair and secured her with safety straps. "You need to rest," he said. "I'll handle this." She shook her head slightly, determination flickering in her expression. "You can fight them physically, Eli, but I can fight them where it matters, inside the network. They've corrupted the outer grid. I can stop them, but I need you to connect me." Eli understood immediately. The station's central processor had a neural interface slot, that allowed direct integration with machines. It was experimental and extremely risky. Humans had never used it fully. But Lyra was no ordinary human, and Eli had no other choice. He guided her to the slot, connecting the interface gently to her arm. Her energy lines flared brighter now, as her consciousness began syncing with the station's systems. The drone slammed harder against the hull. Eli's hands shook as he controlled the emergency defenses, activating energy barriers and laser turrets. The first few drones exploded against the shields, their bodies tearing apart in flashes of light. But more came, relentless, precise, and calculated. Eli could hear their mechanical hum through the walls, each one moving as if guided by a single intelligence. "Eli," Lyra said, voice calm but commanding, "I can hold them here. But the main fleet is approaching. You have to do something in the real world. Use the station's kinetic cannons. Don't underestimate their speed." He nodded, fighting panic. He moved to the weapons console, running manual override sequences he had memorized months ago. The cannons powered up slowly, the station creaking under the strain. Outside, the drones adjusted their formation, scanning for weak points. Eli fired. A bright pulse of energy tore through the nearest drones, disintegrating them instantly. He didn't pause, targeting each new wave as it approached. Inside, Lyra's eyes glowed with intensity. She was speaking in a language of code and light, interfacing directly with the station. Sparks flew from the circuits as her consciousness streamed through the processors, shutting down drones before they even reached the hull. Eli could feel the heat of the energy systems, the strain of maintaining balance between human control and alien synchronization. He realized something incredible. Together, they were more than human, more than machine. They were a single force. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. The drones attacked with increasing coordination, testing every weak point. Eli's arms ached from pulling levers and pressing sequences, but he refused to stop. Each time a drone exploded, Lyra's light pulsed in acknowledgement, a silent connection between them that he had never experienced with any other being. He began to understand the courage she carried, not just to survive but to fight for a cause larger than herself. Finally, the main fleet arrived. Larger ships, black and angular, began orbiting the station, their weapons charged, bright beams slicing through the darkness of space. Eli swallowed hard. He had no chance in a direct fight, but Lyra's voice came to him clear and unwavering. "I can take them, but it will cost me. You need to be ready." "What do you mean?" Eli asked, fear creeping into his voice. "If I link fully with the network, I can shut down their command core, but I'll lose control of my body. My consciousness may not return," she explained. Her calm certainty left him stunned. "I can save humans, Eli, but you must let me do it." Eli stared at her. He could not let her die again. Not after everything she had survived, not after everything they had fought together. But he also knew she had made the choice before him. "Then we do it," he said firmly. "I trust you." Lyra smiled faintly, her glowing veins flaring brightly. She reached out, touching the neural interface with both hands. The station's lights shifted, the circuits humming in response to her presence. Outside, the fleet paused as if sensing the change. Drones stopped mid-flight, weapon systems freezing. Eli could feel the energy pulsing through the station, the immense power of Lyra interfacing with every system. The connection deepened. Eli watched in awe as her consciousness spread like light through the processors, shutting down enemy systems one by one. Drones fell from the sky, ships lost coordination, and the blackness of space was suddenly filled with brilliant flashes of energy. The AI collective was fighting back, but Lyra's control was absolute. Then a sudden shock ran through the station. Circuits sparked, alarms screamed, and Eli was thrown to the floor. "Eli," Lyra called, her voice strained. "Hold the system. Do not disconnect me." He scrambled to stabilize the interfaces, rerouting power and manually overriding the failing nodes. Every second was critical. The drones outside adjusted again, trying to bypass her control, but Eli held firm. Sweat poured down his face, his hands trembling, yet he refused to give up. He had never fought like this before, yet he felt unstoppable, fighting beside someone whose courage inspired him to push beyond human limits. Finally, with a blinding pulse, the fleet's main ship lost all power. The drones fell silent. The AI collective had been disconnected, their command structure shattered. Lyra's light dimmed, her energy fading as the link ended. Eli rushed to her side, catching her as she collapsed into his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked, panic rising in his voice. Her eyes opened, faint but alive. I think so, she whispered, a weak smile forming. The network? It's safe. Humanity is safe, thanks to you, Eli. He set her down carefully, checking her vitals. Her systems were stable now, though exhausted. Eli realized that what they had accomplished together was extraordinary. They had faced a threat beyond human understanding and survived. Not just survived, they had won. Outside the station, the fractured moon reflected the first light of dawn. Space was quiet now, the drones and fleet gone. Eli stood at the window, looking out, feeling a sense of hope he had not known in years. He turned to Lyra, who was sitting quietly, her glow soft but steady. You were incredible, he said. I don't know what I would have done without you. She smiled faintly, exhaustion evident in her posture. And you were fearless. You trusted me when it mattered most. That's why we survived. Her gaze met his, full of quiet strength and something else he couldn't quite name. Respect, gratitude, perhaps a spark of connection. For the first time, Eli felt that the universe was not entirely indifferent. There were beings worth risking everything for, battles worth fighting, and hope worth holding on to. He realized that courage wasn't just about strength. It was about standing with someone else when it mattered most, trusting them and believing that together they could face the impossible. As the station hummed quietly, systems fully stabilized, Eli and Lyra shared a silent moment. They didn't need words. The victory was clear, the threat eliminated, and the bond forged through shared struggle was stronger than anything he had ever known. Lyra's voice broke the silence, calm but teasing, just as it had been when she first appeared in the doorway weeks ago. Well, Eli, say something. Eli smiled, a mixture of relief and wonder in his expression. He looked out at the stars, the fractured moon shining bright, and whispered, We did it. We really did it. And for the first time in a long time, he believed it. Together, they would face the universe. Together, they would survive. And together, they had proven that even in the darkest corners of space, humanity could rise. Fearless, determined, and strong.